Right now on Morning News Now, graduation season now a political flashpoint as protests over the war in Gaza rock college campuses from coast to coast. And the cleanup continues at UCLA after police in riot gear leveled the pro-Palestinian encampment there. President Biden breaking days of silence to condemn the chaos.
It's against the law when violence occurs. Destroying property is not a peaceful protest.
And there are new signs of progress toward a ceasefire and hostage deal between Israel and Hamas. We'll tell you where things stand this morning. Plus, some much-needed rent relief could be coming to a city near you. Why now might be the best time to lock in that lease. And she's got a need for speed. We are talking to the woman behind the wheel of Formula One's all-female racing series about finding success in the male-dominated sport.
Looking forward to that conversation.
I can't wait to bring it to you. It was like one of those starstruck moments. I'm getting to talk to Susie. She's fantastic.
That's awesome. All right, good to have you with us on this Friday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to begin our show with the police crackdown on pro-Palestinian protests on college campuses from coast to coast. The demonstrators are protesting against the war in Gaza and calling on their schools to divest from Israel.
This is the scene at UCLA in the wake of what we saw 24 hours ago. Police stormed and dismantled a protester encampment yesterday, arresting more than 200 people. A tally by NBC News has found that across the country, more than 2,000 have been arrested over the past 3 weeks. Yesterday in LA, police dressed in riot gear used flashbang devices to clear out protesters and take down their massive encampment. Demonstrators have criticized the police tactics as excessive and say the fight is not over until their demands are met. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz has more out of Los Angeles.
Well, hey, guys, good morning to you. Yeah, it's a much different scene here outside UCLA than it was just 24 hours ago, when at this very time we were here as hundreds of law enforcement in riot gear charged into what was an encampment behind me and forced some 500 people who had been camping out for a week here to disperse. Some, though, got arrested. More than 200 were arrested, and they did not dispersed without a very contentious fight. This was a very heated, confrontational situation yesterday morning. And now here we are. Things have begun to get cleaned up, but they did leave behind a lot of mess. The famous Royce Hall here behind me has graffiti all over it. And so there's going to be a long cleanup still in the coming days. Now, meantime, across the country, up at Portland State University, there was a pretty intense situation with video showing a car driving towards a pro-Palestinian protest. The driver then appears to spray pepper spray toward the crowd. Portland State Police say a man was detained on a mental health hold. Meanwhile, at Columbia University in New York, the epicenter of the protests, overnight, protesters showed up outside the home of the Columbia University president. This comes just days after that raid on one of the buildings there, and now police body camera footage from the NYPD that shows some of the moments that this all happened. A big question that officials have been having is how many of the people camping out have been students, faculty, or how many have been outside agitators. And interestingly, according to the NYPD, of the 282 people arrested at Columbia and the City College of New York, this is according to the mayor as well, over half, the mayor's office and NYPD say over half were not affiliated with those schools. Now, by NBC News' count, more than 2,100 people have been arrested nationwide since these protests began. Back here at UCLA, there's a big question about what's next. This whole area is blocked off at least through today, but we know these protesters have said they are not going to end their movement until their demands for the university to divest from Israel are met. Their next move, though, remains to be seen. Back to you guys.
All right, Liz, thank you so much. Well, facing growing political pressure, President Biden is responding to the demands of pro-Palestinian protesters at college campuses across the country, weeks after the demonstrations began at Columbia University. The president says he will not change his support for Israel. That decision is having an impact on the polls ahead of the 2024 election. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez reports.
President Biden's condemnation of violent campus protests are his first on-camera comments about the growing controversy in more than a week.
There's the right to protest, but not the right to cause chaos.
The president says he won't call in the National Guard, and he bluntly rejected the protesters' demands to change his policy in the Middle East.
Mr. President, have the protests forced you to reconsider any of the policies with regard to the region?
No.
President Biden is facing mounting political pressure. Some Democrats want him to do more to support Palestinians, while many Republicans are blasting him for not speaking out earlier.
In moments like this, there are always those who rush in to score political points. But this isn't a moment for politics. It's a moment for clarity.
Still, the war is playing a larger role in the 2024 campaign.
We demand a ceasefire!
For months on the trail, the president's faced growing pro-Palestinian protests.
I used to support him until I realized who he really was.
But the tensions are boiling over this week.
These are radical left lunatics, and they got to be stopped now because it's going to go on and on.
Former President Trump is praising the police response at Columbia University.
It was a beautiful thing to watch, New York's finest.
But Mr. Trump is also drawing controversy for an interview where he would not commit to respecting the outcome of the election, saying if everything's honest, I'll gladly accept the results. If it's not, you have to fight for the right of the country. The president firing back.
Mr. President, are you worried that Trump says he won't accept the election results?
Back to the president's remarks. They were a last-minute add to his schedule, but the White House insists the president was not bowing to political pressure. Biden campaign officials, meanwhile, previously downplayed the college protests, arguing that young people care more about other issues, like the economy and abortion rights. Back to you.
All right, Gabe Gutierrez, thank you so much.
Despite political tensions here at home, the Biden administration is ramping up pressure on both Israel and Hamas to reach a ceasefire deal before the IDF carries out its offensive operation in Rafah.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken says Israel has made very important compromises in the latest proposal to Hamas leaders, and Hamas seems to be responsive to those changes. They say they view the negotiations in a positive light, adding a delegation will be joining Israeli officials in Cairo to continue talks of a ceasefire. The optimism over a potential deal comes as the reality worsens in Gaza. A new UN report finds Gazans will become fully dependent on outside aid within the next 3 months. Nearly 75% of Gazans have been displaced since the war began.
NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us now from Tel Aviv with the latest. Raf, good morning. So how has the position of Hamas changed in the last week? How much is pressure from the Biden administration playing a role here?
Joe, Savannah, good morning. The world has been waiting now for several days for Hamas to give its response to the current ceasefire proposal. Israel's war cabinet met here in Tel Aviv last night, and they believed that they were going to get that response, a yes or a no, last night. Instead, Hamas indicating it wants to continue talking. The political leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, calling the head of Egyptian intelligence, who's been one of the absolute key mediators throughout these talks, telling him that Hamas negotiators will come to Egypt as soon as possible to complete the ongoing discussions with the aim of maturing an agreement. Now, guys, I've read a lot of Hamas statements since October 7th. On the one hand, this has positive sounds in it that Hamas feels that there is something worth discussing, worth going to Cairo to discuss. But it is also clear that they are not planning to give a definitive answer one way or another right now. Israel says it will not wait forever and that it is preparing to move ahead with that threatened offensive into the city of Rafah, where 1 million Palestinian civilians are sheltering. That is despite firm opposition from the White House. And Hamas says if Israel moves ahead with that attack, that's the end of the negotiations. Guys.
Raf, it feels like we've been here before, right? Optimism for a deal that then eventually fades away. Do things feel different this time?
It's really hard to say, Savannah. There is a lot of international pressure in all directions. The ceasefire deal, you can see the terms on your screen there. Hamas being asked to release 33 hostages from the so-called humanitarian category. That is women, it's children, it's the elderly, it's people with serious medical conditions. In return, Israel would release potentially thousands of Palestinian prisoners and agree to a 40-day ceasefire. Israeli officials say they've also made concessions on this question question of allowing Palestinian civilians to return to their homes in northern Gaza. The U.S. says these are very generous terms to Hamas. But what Hamas officials are telling us is that one of the absolute key sticking points is whether this is a negotiation about a temporary pause in the fighting, which is what Israel wants, or whether this is a negotiation about ending the war altogether, which is what Hamas wants. And trying to bridge the gap between those kind of zero-sum positions is one of the key tasks of the mediators right now. Guys.
Raph, while we have you, Secretary of State Antony Blinken ended his tour of the Middle East this week by offering suggestions on how to best protect Gazans. What did he say?
So, Joe, a lot of this tour was focused on a ceasefire deal. A lot of it was focused on Rafah, but a lot of it also focused on this question of getting more humanitarian aid into Gaza. The secretary was there as Israel, for the first time, and frankly under intense American pressure, allowed aid to go directly through a crossing into northern Gaza. The Secretary of State saying that that is a positive development, but that much, much more needs to happen. One of the points he made, Israel needs to be allowing more medicine, not just food, into Gaza. The healthcare system has all but collapsed inside of the Strip. Healthcare needs are dire. He says also Israel needs to do more to allow distribution inside of Gaza. So that is easing restrictions inside of the Strip. It's allowing more trucks to get in so they can be used for distribution. And finally, he said Israel needs to stop arbitrarily denying aid from going in. And what we have heard really consistently since the beginning from aid groups is that they arrive at the Rafah crossing or elsewhere, and they have what they think is very clearly humanitarian aid, and the Israelis say, no, you can't bring this in because it could potentially benefit Hamas. I'll give you just one example, guys. We've heard from aid groups that they have been denied the ability to bring freezers for insulin into Gaza because the Israelis have said that's something that could benefit Hamas. Not clear how that works. Guys.
Raph Sanchez, as always, thank you for your reporting. Appreciate it. Let's take a look at what to expect the weekend weather-wise. Texas bracing for severe storms.
Angie Lassman joins us with more of your Morning News Now weather forecast. Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. We're rolling right through this work week and headed so close to the weekend, but we, of course, continue to see the impactful weather across the middle of the country. Yesterday, in the past 24 hours, really, we picked up some impressive amounts of rain, and the visuals coming out of Texas, as far as the flooding is concerned, have been quite impressive. Notice, Huntsville, over 9 inches of rain in a 24-hour period. We've had nearly 10 inches of rain in Livingston. Those are some of the areas that we've seen really some damaging flooding happening, and plenty of river flood warnings underway. Notice the amount of moderate and major flooding that's happening along these rivers. Wherever you see that red and wherever you see that pink, that's where we're concerned for the river flooding. We've got a lot of swollen rivers across this region in parts of Texas, and we've also got the flood watches up, and specifically some flash flood warnings in effect for parts of Texas. These flood watches extend into Oklahoma as well as Louisiana, and topping out about 6 million people right now. The severe weather threat, while it was less yesterday, we still saw a couple of tornadoes. We had reports of hail, and today is kind of more of the same. The middle of the country, still the bullseye for where we're watching, but specifically, we've got a couple of these slight risk areas where our main threat that we're concerned about is going to be the hail, 2-inch in size or potentially larger, but some gusty winds and maybe a couple of tornadoes possible. When it comes to the hail, Lubbock, Abilene, San Angelo, we're watching for golf ball size, something to watch into the afternoon and evening hours tonight. Now, as we roll into the weekend, the severe threat diminishes a little more. We still have a section of the country, specifically parts of Texas, same kind of spot, Lubbock, Midland, Fort Stockton, that we're going to watch for some stronger storms. So we'll watch for that here as we get into the day tomorrow. But the rain continues too. We've got 1 to 2 inches of rain expected across this region through Sunday. So we've kind of got this repeated performance that we're going to watch as far as these thunderstorms firing up over the same area as we get into the weekend too, before we really ramp up that severe weather by Monday and Tuesday. Out west, we've got another Pacific storm. That means, guys, rain and potentially snow for folks out there. So we'll be watching for impactful weather for them as we head through the weekend. But again, Monday, Tuesday, we're really going to be watching the middle of the country for more of those strong storms and severe storm risks.
All right. Thank you, Angie. Appreciate it.
So cute when we all get the same color.
Oh, we did. Look at us.
Now let's get to former President Trump's hush money trial here in New York. There were dramatic moments yesterday as a key prosecution witness was cross-examined about the alleged payments he helped arrange. NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett has the latest.
Former President Trump arriving at court watching his defense team go on offense, casting a key prosecution witness as out to extort him for money. The defense hoping to discredit Keith Davidson, the lawyer who negotiated payoffs for Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal. Both threatened to go public with stories of sex with Mr. Trump ahead of the 2016 election. Mr. Trump has denied the allegations of both women and denied any advance knowledge of the payoffs. His defense team suggesting today Davidson had a habit of shaking down celebrities like Charlie Sheen for money. Davidson saying he never extorted anyone, testifying at length about his negotiations with Michael Cohen, Mr. Trump's former attorney, but admitting he never met nor spoke to the former president. Instead, he dealt exclusively with Cohen, who he painted as desperate and despondent that then-President-elect Trump would not make him Attorney General or White House Chief of Staff, describing a phone call where Cohen lamented, "I can't believe I'm not going to Washington." Cohen saying he'd saved Trump so many times, you don't even know. Davidson testifying about Cohen, "I thought he was going to kill himself." A helpful point for the defense as it tries to cast Cohen as having an axe to grind against Mr. Trump. The former president is accused of illegally doctoring his internal records to disguise his repayments to Cohen, making Cohen's testimony critical for prosecutors, who are now seeking additional fines against Mr. Trump, saying he violated a gag order again by calling his former fixer a liar. While the defense argues the former president should be allowed to defend himself against Cohen's frequent criticism.
That I'm unconstitutionally gagged. He gagged me, so I'm not even supposed to be, I would say, talking to you because he gagged me.
Our thanks to Laura Jarrett for that report. For more, we are joined by NBC News legal analyst Angela Sadella on this. Angela, good morning. So let's talk about this attorney, Keith Davidson. How effective of a witness was he, do you think?
So look, he's a very important witness for the prosecution. Aside from Michael Cohen, he's literally the other middleman. So he repped Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, whereas Michael Cohen repped Trump. Now, the two of them made this deal together. So his testimony was important to trace the money trail. And he did just that. He effectively showed his text that said funds received, which really closed the loop of the money. I also think it's effective that he brought up the election in his text messages, and he showed that he believed that perhaps this hush money deal is literally what tipped the election in Trump's favor. Now, look, that's totally circumstantial. It's just opinion. It's not based in numbers or quantity or fact. But the prosecution has to keep tying this back to the election. Through Laura's reporting, we hear how messy this all is, this whole hush money world. But ultimately, the allegation is that there's this election interference. So the prosecution has to keep bringing that back. But we did hear the defense say that he's this serial extortionist. And look, it's a fine line between extortion and getting money for NDAs. And that's what the defense is going to keep doing, just constantly attacking every witness of the prosecution for their credibility, saying they are just part of this seedy world. Don't believe them, jury. So it was balanced. It was effective, but it was also effective for the defense.
Something else the jury heard yesterday, Trump on tape talking to Michael Cohen about paying off McDougal. How important was this?
This is also very important because it is a circuitous money trail. It's not a direct line. It's he gave money to him, gave money to him, gave money to her. But as we also saw in Laura's reporting, Davidson says he never even talked to Trump directly. He never saw Trump. So there has to be some way the Manhattan DA can pinpoint Trump in the middle of this. He is the defendant, even though all these other people are the ones who exchanged the money. So having that recording, having some relevance of Trump being there, being involved, even if he didn't technically write that check, was very important.
Let's talk about the latest on the gag order, sort of this whole other sub-storyline going on in this courtroom. So prosecutors, they claim that Trump has now violated this 4 times. They say they're not looking for jail time, but do you think it could get there?
Ultimately, it's possible, but look, the whole point with the punishment for these violations is deterrence, right? To stop the defendant from doing this again. And it's weird because Trump's team almost seems to be angling for jail time, in which case, would that even be a deterrent if he does get in jail? And then obviously there's the huge First Amendment issues, not just of Trump not being able to campaign, but it's also been ruled that it could possibly be a First Amendment violation to the public to not see their own presidential candidate campaigning. So I think it's tricky. It's ultimately the judge's discretion, so we'll see what he decides.
And he doesn't really have anything to look back on to say, oh, this is how they handled this before, because it's all new territory.
That's exactly right. All precedent-based, all of these decisions, and there's no precedent.
All right, let's talk about today. What can we expect? What are you watching out
So
for?
we're going to see this data analyst come back, and he's going to talk more about Cohen's audio recordings and what he extracted from Michael Cohen's phone. But what I'm most interested in seeing are these other witnesses who might possibly sway the jury. When will Hope Hicks take the stand? The reason why she's so interesting is that all of these other characters who we see on this witness list are potentially very shady, right? They're involved in this very seedy world. But she was not necessarily tied to all of that. So what will she say? And then obviously waiting for that star witness, Michael Cohen, and maybe even Stormy Daniels. But again, I'm waiting to see the prosecution keep tying this back to election. Like, we are really still stuck in the weeds of this hush money deal. But the felony is if it interfered with the election.
Angela Sadella, as always, we appreciate you.
Coming up, the death toll is climbing in Brazil after heavy rains caused a dam collapse and widespread flooding. The latest on rescue efforts there.
And the Beats are back. TikTok and Universal Music Group end their dispute over royalties, meaning the biggest artists in the world can be heard on the platform once again. We got the details up next.
We're back now with deadly flooding in southern Brazil that has killed at least 29 people and forced thousands to leave their homes. They've seen 4 days of torrential rains causing widespread flooding and landslides, making it even harder for rescue crews to get to those who are stranded. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley reports.
The deadly flooding disaster in Brazil. Days of heavy rains across the southern state of Rio Grande do Sul, triggering massive floods. Emergency crews using helicopters to airlift stranded residents to safety.
Infelizmente, será o maior desastre que o nosso estado já tenha enfrentado.
Aerial footage shows mudslides flowing down mountains, smashing into homes, gaping holes left in roads, others completely overrun. Even this animal caught up in the raging current. The floods leaving more than 20 missing and forcing thousands to flee their homes.
A gente não sabe como que vai estar a casa da gente, as coisas da gente, que tanto trabalho a gente passa, né, no dia a dia para construir, né, e para conseguir comprar. E aí agora chegar do nada e a gente ter perdido tudo, né?
Local authorities now calling on the federal government for assistance. The president of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, touching down in the region, greeting officials on the ground.
Eu quero dizer para vocês que não faltará, da parte do governo federal, ajuda para cuidar da saúde.
A region desperate for assistance as it tries to keep its head above water.
Our thanks to Matt Bradley for that report.
Let's get you more international news now. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's government is facing some disastrous local election results across the pond this morning.
NBC News international correspondent Claudio Lavanga has that and other world headlines. Claudio, good morning.
Joe Savannah, good morning. Well, that's right. On Thursday, millions of voters cast their ballots across England and Wales in a series of local elections, but they are seen as a major test to the UK government. Now, results are still coming in, but there are already heavy losses for Rishi Sunak's Conservative Party, with all indicators suggesting that it will be ousted from power after 14 years in the next general election that will happen between now and January. Let's go to Haiti now, where Thursday gangs laid siege to several neighborhoods in the capital, Port-au-Prince. Armed gang members exchanged fire with police and set fire to homes, forcing residents to flee the violence. People were seen leaving the affected areas on foot, motorcycle, or small buses. This is the biggest attacks in the capital since Haiti's new prime minister was announced. And let's end this tour of the world in Indonesia, where scientists observed an orangutan successfully healing a deep face wound with a medical tropical plant. The orangutan, called rucus, chewed on a medical plant used in Southern Asia to treat pain and inflammation. Then he applied it with his fingers to an injury on the cheek. He then pressed it against the wound like a makeshift bandage. Scientists say this proves that some animals are able to soothe their own ills with remedies found in the wild. Back to you guys.
It's like an orangutan dermatologist. Because they're doing Botox treatments next. Good luck, everyone.
Very funny. I just thought it was so cute and cool, but that was really funny. Claudio, thank you.
Right. Coming up, women in pole position.
That's right. My one-on-one with Susie Wolf, the managing director of Formula One's all-female racing championship. How she's breaking barriers and showing young women anything is possible. That's up next. Welcome back. Susie Wolf spent decades racing to the finish line in the male-dominated world of motorsports. Well, now she's sitting in a new kind of driver's seat. She's leading the all-female Formula One Academy. And history will be made this weekend in Miami when speedy women from all over the world will rev up their engines for their junior-level women's championship. I got to sit down with Wolf to talk about this big first and what it takes to shatter glass ceilings one engine at a time.
Formula One racing is having a moment. And right alongside it, F1 Academy.
It was basically born of the desire to make what is perceived as a very male-dominated sport a little bit more diverse.
They're doing that by bringing women to the sport with this junior-level, female-only racing championship.
We can really jump onto one of the biggest sporting platforms in the world. And we have the 10 Formula One teams on board.
The hope is more women make it just as far as the men do in the sport. Just like F1 Academy's managing director, Susie Wolf, a professional racing driver herself who made history in 2014 by becoming the first woman to participate in a Formula One race weekend in 22 years.
Do you remember moments where you felt like the only woman in the room?
Many moments. But I never let the noise around my gender distract me, because I realized early on that performance is power. As long as I was quick enough and as long as I performed, everything else around my gender would fade away. Motorsport has never been segregated. We don't believe it should be, but we believe in giving opportunity to young female talent so that we see more women participating in the sport.
Do you think a lot of people even realize that it's not meant to be segregated? It just is that we don't see a lot of women doing it.
It's sometimes not actually known that the fact that women can race with men. It's never been segregated, but in a racing car it comes down to a lot more than just your muscle mass. There's no reason why a woman can't compete at the very top, and certainly I made it to Formula One as a test driver, and I certainly believe that, having driven the car, that it's possible.
How important is it for these young women to see someone doing what they ultimately want to be doing, to have that representation?
I believe it's hugely important. Sometimes in life you have to see it to believe it. We want everybody to see that 21-year-old girl zipping up her Ferrari race suit, that 22-year-old zipping up her Mercedes race suit, because that image can be super powerful in terms of inspiring the next generation.
What does success look like for you with F1 Academy?
Success is not just about more women participating on track. I would think we want to open up the whole sport. We want to become a movement which shows how diverse the sport can be. We want to create opportunity, and if you have a daughter that has that passion, that loves speed, or that is very mechanically driven, or loves STEM subjects, this should be seen as a career path, or at least a possibility for her.
For a young girl who's watching this, who might be interested in this, what do you want her to know?
I want her to know, please watch F1 Academy. We're racing this weekend in Miami, and whatever you love about this sport, if you could imagine yourself having a passion for being an engineer, a mechanic, or even a racing driver.
So she actually told me in just this one year, this one season so far that they've had F1 Academy, that they have already seen a difference. The number of girls who are joining karting it's called, which is essentially the first step to being F1, has increased exponentially. And she said it really is making girls see they can do this too, because there's no reason there's not a woman driving in F1.
Absolutely not. It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
It's great to see that they actually have something in place and that it's actually working and getting more girls involved and young women.
And she said, parents, let your daughters think this can be a career path for me.
That's some good advice. I like that. Very cool. Thanks for that. Believe it or not, the cutthroat competition to snag a spot at the most exclusive restaurants in New York is creating a a new industry. Some aspiring diners will pay hundreds of dollars on an app to get a reservation. As you can imagine, not everyone is happy about this new way of getting a seat at some very fashionable hotspots. NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo has the story.
The bustling streets of New York City promise some of the best eats in the world. But for everyday New Yorkers and tourists looking to get a taste, dining at the hottest restaurants in the city has become nearly impossible.
Brunch, I think, is the most difficult time.
I usually try going and lining up right before they open.
Unless, that is, you're willing to pay up. Not just for the food and drinks, which can easily cost hundreds, but simply to snag a seat at the table.
If you make things available, people will pay money for it.
Enter sites like Appointment Trader, which can get you into trendy spots like Fort Charles, Carbone, and Polo Bar for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. Creator Jonas Frey says the idea was born in line at the DMV.
Yeah, it was a long line. I was wondering, how is it possible that I can't pay to get an appointment? There must be demand for this.
But the site's main business quickly shifted to restaurants.
I'm on the popular reservation site Resi right now, which is free to use, but there are no reservations available coming up here. I can put in my email, though, and hope there's a cancellation. Or if I want to spend some money, I can go to Appointment Trader, where I can find some reservations available, but it's going to cost me anywhere from $55 up to $300 just to get a table.
So here's how it works. Behind the scenes, the platform's 15,000 sellers are scooping up the best reservations. Then users come in and place their bids. The higher the demand, the higher the final price tag. Alex Eisler is a top seller who says he's earned more than $100,000 since October 2022, but he doesn't live anywhere near New York City.
This semester, I purposely have my Tuesdays with nothing, no classes. So Tuesdays is kind of like my reservation day.
Finding time between classes at Brown University, using dozens of reservation accounts, emails, programmed bots, and even using different voices when calling.
I set alarms on my phone to remind me sometimes, just go on Resi or for calling Polo Bar. And then also it's the same with when someone cancels a reservation, I either have a bot which can automatically get it for me, or I can just do it myself. I had a lot of accounts terminated.
But are these reservation sellers stealing all the best spots?
I mean, I feel like people are upset, but I feel like it's people who, as I said before, it's not like it was easy to get a reservation before.
Appointment Trader says $5.7 million worth of reservations have been sold in the last 12 months, with customers spending an average of $20,000 a day in recent weeks. The majority of that money goes to the sellers, with the site taking a 20 to 30% cut. But what do the restaurants who don't get a cut of the trade think of this growing business?
If it were up to me, I wouldn't want to allow reservations to be sold, just so guests can have a fair chance.
Syria Alvarez is the restaurant manager at Tatiana, consistently topping the list of best restaurants in the city. Led by Chef Kwame Onwachi, a Top Chef alum and recipient of the James Beard Rising Star Award, Tatiana's menu combines his Afro-Caribbean heritage with his New York City upbringing, and the popularity is off the charts.
It doesn't surprise me that the price would be so high to sell and buy reservations because of the high demand. Having a wait list of 1,200 plus people a day, I can imagine why it would be that rate.
But Alvarez says buying and selling reservations seems like it will give fewer people, not more, a seat at the table.
What do you think the future holds?
Reservation sites are cracking down on bots, so I'm not sure how long that will last. I hope that everyone will be able to get a fair chance.
If you're willing to wait, though, or even pay, it could just be worth it.
When you hear from these customers, do they say, yeah, it was worth waiting a year for these reservations?
Once they are able to join us, the feedback is amazing. Guests always tell us that the wait was definitely worth it.
Stephen Romo, NBC News.
very strong feelings on this. I think it's the worst of technology. I think it's exploiting class. I just hate that we're seeing that.
Well,
right
and
now.
it's just not really possible to get reservations anymore.
Yeah.
Bots are doing it, so then this can be sold. It really is an issue.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So, and that's not the solution. I hope
No.
not. So hopefully they figure out a way with it. All right. We're getting off our soapboxes now.
No renters remorse here if you're in the market for a new place. Now may be the best time to start apartment hunting.
I'm going to sound off on this too. Just kidding. All right. Our expert Caleb Silver is here with everything you need to know. Stay with us. You're watching Morning News Now. Welcome back. Finding a place to live has been a struggle for millions of people in the wake of the pandemic, with prices skyrocketing for both renters and home buyers. But this morning, there is some good news, at least for renters.
Yeah, home rental price growth is finally slowing to pre-pandemic levels. And while rental prices as a whole are still going up in most cities, the rate of growth is easing up. But that's just one side of the story, because home prices are still on the rise. Interest rates remain high. We did not get a cut this week. Supply remains low.
For more, we're joined by Investopedia editor-in-chief and esteemed friend of the show, Caleb Silver. Caleb, good to have you with us. So let's start with the bad news. This isn't shocking, but affordability when it comes to homes, lowest level in 40 years. Yeah. Do we have any idea when relief is in sight? Is it just interest rates, or are there other factors?
No, it's interest rates and it's prices. Home prices are still up 6.4% year over year. The biggest spike, your hometown of San Diego, keeps rising 11.4% year over year.
It's bad.
Everybody wants the tacos and the waves. But it is this tight supply. It is the fact that interest rates are high. There's not a lot of people selling their home because they don't want to get into a more expensive mortgage. So you have that supply issue. So that the prices continue to rise, especially in major cities around the country. But we are seeing a little bit of relief finally in the rental market, where you said it. The rate of growth is slowing, and that's important.
If you are looking to buy a home anyway, remind us what we got to do. How do you get ready for that?
Yeah, you got to have your paperwork ready, right? You got to have your credit score ready. You got to have your lending and borrowing documents ready, and be ready to close quickly, because when this opens up, it's going to move very, very quickly, especially in markets where you have that median price around $420,000. But also have those closing costs ready. People don't realize it's not just the price you pay. It's not just the mortgage. There's about $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 in closing costs. Be ready to close quickly. Be ready with a down payment. Be ready to close quickly.
It is going to be so competitive when this loosens up,
God,
right?
I can't even
It
imagine.
already is. Yeah, okay. Let's talk about the good news you mentioned, which is rentings. Is now a good time to lock in your lease, especially if you're due, if you're trying to figure out what to do?
Yeah, because the rate of growth is slowing, and then supply. Rental is all about supply on the market. There's about 510,000 available rental units in the country. Sounds like a lot, but not when you think about how many people live in this country. So supply should open up a little bit more. As supply opens, and we go into the summer, you usually see that. You see prices start to fall in some places, and we finally seen it relax a little bit in places like Austin, Texas, which was red hot. Everybody was moving to Austin, San Antonio, and the rate of growth is really slowing in Portland and Dallas, but it's still high in places like Providence, Louisville, Kentucky, Cleveland, and Hartford and Boston. A lot of rent pressure there, supply low, and very hard to get into a home. So if you have a lease and you like that rate, lock it in if you can today. Extend for another year or two. Tell your landlord, we want to be here, because we don't know which direction rental prices are going to go. The rate of growth is slowing. That doesn't mean they're going to come way down.
So we just had this conversation the other day with all of our friend Christine Romans, our senior business correspondent here, and she was kind of talking about that dichotomy of, like, in some places buying a house is definitely going to be the right call versus renting, but kind of for the first time in a lot of places, renting is actually going to save you money. Is this true that sort of you need to think about geographically where you're at and which of those two choices makes the most sense?
Geographically, and also where you're at from an income perspective, right? It may make more sense to rent that opportunity cost to save a little bit of money and invest that, or put it away for something else so you can buy down the road. So in some cases, it does make sense to keep renting if you're locked in at a low rent, rather than jumping into a high mortgage, and then your home affordability, your income versus how much it costs to pay that monthly cost, is going to be way off the charts. You're going to suffer on some other ends.
And when more people start buying homes, hopefully that helps rental prices.
Exactly. They are like this, seesaws, right? More activity here in the buyer's market, then it loosens up in the rental market.
All right. Caleb Silver, as always, thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Well, now let's get to the latest on the Idaho quadruple murder. The suspect, Brian Koberger, his defense lawyers and prosecutors returned to the courtroom Thursday.
Koberger's legal team claims that prosecutors are not handing over key pieces of evidence in the discovery process, including a video that allegedly places the suspect's car at the scene of the crime. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin has the details.
Hey there, suspect Brian Kohberger was back in court yesterday. The prosecution forcefully denied those defense claims that they're purposefully withholding information, saying it was, quote, utter nonsense. The judge admonished both sides and decided to close a future discovery hearing. All this as the clock keeps ticking with no trial date set.
The court should ask itself, what is the state trying to hide here?
Brian Kohberger's legal team blasting the state of Idaho, claiming prosecutors are withholding information the defense says they need to do their job, including key pieces of a video described in the charging affidavit that allegedly shows a car matching Kohberger's at the scene of the murders.
We've received little tiny pieces of that.
Kohberger's lawyers also arguing that an upcoming hearing to compel that discovery and more should be open to the public. Prosecutors insist it should be closed and vehemently deny that it's keeping materials from the defense.
The characterization that we are just consciously withholding information to frustrate the defense is utter nonsense. I can tell you many of the things that the defendant has tried to itemize, when we talk to our people, they say that doesn't exist.
Kohberger is charged with the murders of 4 University of Idaho students in their off-campus home: Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. A judge entered a not guilty plea on Kohberger's behalf. A year and a half on, a trial date has yet to be set. As tensions mount between the legal teams, the judge urged both sides to lower the temperature.
I don't want this pointing the fingers back and forth. You can argue all you want, but when it starts to be personal, it's destructive.
The family of Kaylee Gonsalves demanding justice, saying in a statement, "This banter has been going on for 17 months, and the case is turning into a hamster wheel of motions, hearings, and delayed decisions." The judge set the next hearing for May 14th to discuss the surveillance video and other discovery, and sided with the prosecution, ruling the hearing will be closed to the public.
Well, it's looking like the trial will happen sometime next year, possibly next spring. There's a change of venue hearing scheduled for the end of June. Remember, this is a death penalty case, which complicates things. Meanwhile, all the victims' families can do is watch and wait, and it's agonizing for them. Back to you.
Of course, Aaron, thank you so much.
Coming up, Caitlyn Clark mania coming to the WNBA.
Yeah, Clark is set to make her professional debut tonight in the Indiana Fever's first preseason game, and fans are going wild. We are bringing you all the excitement up next.
Welcome back. The kids from one of the best-loved comedies of the 90s, Mrs. Doubtfire, have reunited. Mara Wilson shared this photo with Lisa Yacoub and Matthew Lawrence. It's been 31 years since they first appeared together in the classic movie, where Robin Williams played a dad who pretends to be a Scottish nanny so he can spend more time with his kids. Yacoub wrote that she and Wilson and Lawrence still feel like siblings. Mrs. Doubtfire was actually the second biggest release of 1993, with only Jurassic Park grossing more. We always love to see these reunions decades later.
I'm just like giggling with how much I love that movie, and it's been so long since I've seen it. That's a good reminder. We should add that to our can't miss list coming up. All right, anyway, your favorite music is finally coming back to TikTok. The app and Universal Music Group announced yesterday that they've reached a deal over royalty payments when creators use an artist's songs in their videos.
The agreement ends a months-long standoff, and it basically means you can once again create videos featuring music from artists like Drake, Ariana Grande, Billie Eilish, and yes, even Taylor Swift.
Kristen Robinson is a senior writer at Billboard, and she joins us now with more on all this. Kristen, good morning. Thanks for joining us. So what did both sides come to the table with that ultimately ended this?
Yeah, so basically there were 3 core issues at the center of all of this. So UMG had particular issues with the way that TikTok was trying to pay for the music. They thought it was too low. They also had issues with artist safety on the platform, and they also had issues with artificial intelligence. There's a lot of deep fakes that go around on TikTok. So this new agreement addresses all 3 of those things and includes improvements in all 3 of those areas. So it seems like both sides were pretty happy with this deal, but there's a lot of details we still don't know, given it was a private agreement.
So, Kristen, we know UMG artists were still allowed to upload their music to the app. We saw Taylor Swift do that to promote her new album. Did the ban make much of a difference in terms of folks using it?
I do think it did, yeah. And Taylor was a unique case, as she always is. Taylor got to, have this new relationship with TikTok separately, but for most artists, they were not allowed to upload their music. The music still lived on TikTok through what's called original sounds, which is when a user will upload kind of a bootlegged audio that includes a copyright in the meantime. So that was still happening. So you'd still find these like sped up versions made by users or remixes of UMG artists. Those were not supposed to be on the platform, though. Taylor Swift is a unique case. So I do think this did have an impact on users, and it certainly had an impact on artists who are releasing music, singles or albums during this time. So I think everyone's pretty happy that this has all come to an end and that everyone seems to be in a better relationship with each other now.
Obviously, the other big headline with TikTok as of late has been the fact that the president signed into law this potential ban if the app is not divested from its Chinese parent company. Did that come into play here? Was that addressed at all in this deal?
It really wasn't. I think the only thing that might have been addressed that could be helpful is that there's improved measures for artist safety, anti-bullying, helping with prevention of deepfakes, stuff like that I do think hits the core of privacy issues. But for the most part, when I hear people talking about what's going on in the music business with TikTok, it doesn't really touch what's going on at the same time with Congress.
With what happened with TikTok and Universal, do we expect to see more of this with other companies out there, with other labels, as they try and figure out this whole new world of streaming and trying to make as much money as they can for artists, or it feels like the pie's getting smaller and smaller?
Yeah, so this would be considered social media licensing, and that's a very important and very growing part of the music business and their income moving forward. So people are taking this really seriously. I think a lot of people are very hopeful that, since Universal Music Group has gotten a better deal, even though no one's really allowed to know exactly what's within that deal, as other licenses come up for renewal for different labels, they're hoping that they have a little bit more of a leg to stand on when they're asking for better remuneration for their artists, better safety, better AI measures. So I think overall, this will probably have a positive impact.
All right, Kristen Robinson, thanks for joining us. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
The wait is finally over for basketball fans. In just a few hours, Caitlyn Clark will make her WNBA debut with the Indiana Fever in their first preseason matchup against the Dallas Wings.
Yeah, but if you were hoping to grab a last-minute ticket, well, too bad, so sad. It is already sold out. That's because, of course, this excitement comes just weeks after Clark secured the #1 overall pick in the league's draft and dominated the NCAA Women's Championship with the Iowa Hawkeyes. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson joins us from Arlington, Texas, to break down all the excitement. Priscilla, good morning.
Yeah, Savannah, Joe, good morning. As you all mentioned, these stands are going to be packed in just a few hours as Caitlyn Clark steps onto this court to make her WNBA debut. And already some opposing teams are moving their games to larger venues to accommodate for all of the fanfare as number 22 begins her next chapter.
I'm just excited to get playing.
A generational rookie ready to take the court for her very first game in the pros.
I've been playing my best basketball of my life and, hopefully, just being able to replicate that in this league.
With the first pick, #1 overall draft pick Caitlyn Clark making her WNBA debut tonight with the Indiana Fever in one of the league's most anticipated preseason games ever.
I feel like she's done amazing for the game of basketball.
After an iconic record-setting college career at Iowa, Clark acknowledging the leap to the big stage may not be easy.
People I'm going to be playing in this league are full-grown, very strong women. Getting used to that physicality of the game will probably be one of the biggest things for myself to overcome.
But like one of her long-range threes, number 22 will let it fly.
I'm going to see what's going to work and what's not going to work at this level, and then just refine that and continue to add things that are going to make me better.
The Fever are already feeling the Clark effect at practice.
I think the great thing about her is that she makes everybody better on the court.
And at the box office.
How many tickets were you looking for?
According to StubHub, 9 of the 10 highest in-demand WNBA games this season feature the Fever, with lower-level seats for tonight's game going for more than $600.
She has just made it explode, and it's fun to watch.
Friday's marquee matchup, the latest milestone in a whirlwind month for the 22-year-old. In the week since coming up short in the national title game against South Carolina, Clark was drafted by the Fever, made the media rounds.
Hi, I'm Caitlyn Clarks, guard for the Indiana Fever.
Hit the court for training camp, shared laughs with her new teammates at a photo shoot, and even celebrated her one-year anniversary with boyfriend Connor McCaffrey. Writing on Instagram, "You make every day better, and I can't wait for many more adventures together." Now, with her next adventure just hours away, a player who has already revolutionized the game, ready to sink her next big shot.
There are going to be challenges along the way, and that's what I signed up for, and that's what's going to make this really fun.
And guys, although I did not make my middle school basketball game, I got cut, but I am feeling the Caitlyn Clark effect, so I'm going to take the shot. Oh, it was close.
I thought that was going in. Again. You get another shot. Actually, you get as many as it takes.
Oh my God. Okay, wait, no.
Okay.
One more.
I feel like we might be cursed here in Morning News Now.
Yes.
Yay! All right. Finally, that is the first basket made in about 20 attempts on our show.
Yeah, Priscilla, and about 17 of those were Jesse Kirsch, and not one went in. So sorry, Jesse.
A lot of
I've been
airballs
practicing all morning, okay?
Well, we are grateful for you.
Priscilla, I bet you could take it from farther back. You got this, girl.
Your middle school team is
You think so? Okay, Savannah is giving me confidence.
Absolutely.
I love this. We're going to...
There we go. All right.
Jumping up and down.
Here we go.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I had to redeem myself.
That was like nothing but net,
All right,
girl.
three-pointer. Okay, no.
Yeah. Priscilla,
Nothing but
amazing.
net, okay?
Just so you know, Priscilla, you can
They
totally...
don't call me Caitlyn Clark Jr. for nothing.
There you go.
And you have license to rub that in Jesse Kirsch's face.
Right.
We love you. Thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla. Appreciate it. That will do it for this very entertaining hour of Morning News Now.
Yeah, it's feeling like a Friday, huh?
Yeah.
The news continues right now. Don't go anywhere. Good morning. Welcome to Friday. Thanks for being here. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, trying to restore order in the face of violence on college campuses across the country. President Biden finally responding to the protest movement after days of silence, harshly condemning some of the protesters.
There should be no place on any campus, no place in America for anti-Semitism or threats of violence against Jewish students. We're a civil society, and order must prevail.
We've got team coverage in just a moment as arrests by law enforcement nationwide top 2,000. State of emergency, many Texans are waking up to threats of even more wild weather. Severe storms now tearing through parts of the Lone Star State, bringing strong winds, hail, and reports of tornadoes. We're on the ground as mandatory evacuations are ordered in areas ravaged by floodwaters. Also this morning, swiping shakeup as dating apps try to avoid getting ghosted by younger users. We're talking to Bumble's new CEO about her big relaunch of the app. That includes the major decision to rethink its defining feature and let men, rather than women, make the first move. And grab your comically large hats, break out those mint juleps, because later in the hour, we are counting down to the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby. More on that, plus all the movies, shows, and music you need to know about for the weekend in our can't miss list. I always enjoy it. Just takes like a couple minutes to watch the Kentucky Derby on a Saturday.
There you go.
You flip it on.
I hope that comes with mint juleps for us.
Exactly.
It's a Friday.
It's Friday. I don't know.
Doubtful.
Getting mint julep? No, we're not getting mint
We're
juleps.
asking Jillian.
Just found out. Not happening.
Her boss in here.
All right. We're going to begin this hour with the pro-Palestinian protests sweeping college campuses across the country. Police are continuing to confront demonstrators who are calling for a ceasefire in Gaza and for their schools to stop doing business with Israel.
Protests are ongoing at college campuses nationwide following yesterday's extraordinary police operation at UCLA. We brought you right here on Morning News Now. More than 200 people ultimately were arrested. NBC's Liz Kreutz has the latest out of Los Angeles.
Hey there, yeah, here at UCLA, it's a much different scene than it was just 24 hours ago. But just to show how volatile things are right now, in New York, the NYPD has just begun moving into NYU to begin removing the encampment there, the university requesting NYPD to come in. And this just highlights how intense things are on college campuses right now as more crackdowns begin. Outside UCLA's landmark Royce Hall this morning, little remains of the pro-Palestinian protest encampment. Police making more than 200 arrests early Thursday morning after moving in with overwhelming force. Demonstrators, many of them in hard hats and gas masks, appearing to resist.
How do I feel? I've never felt more proud of myself or my community.
In recent weeks, protest action spreading across more than 60 campuses. And yesterday, a scary scene at Portland State University. Video showing a car driving towards a pro-Palestinian protest. The driver then appearing to spray pepper spray toward the crowd. Portland State police say a man was detained on a mental health hold. Meanwhile, there have been 30 arrests of protesters at Portland State. Police clearing its graffiti-filled library. Early this morning, across the country, at the epicenter of the protest, demonstrators gathering outside the home of Columbia University's president. Just days after the raid on the school's campus, documented on newly released police body cam footage.
Flashbang over!
Showing police breaking into the occupied Hamilton Hall and going through the protesters' setup, including a board with the slogan, "Political power comes from the barrel of a gun." Student activists say the NYPD's response was excessive.
People were nothing but peaceful.
The NYPD chief of patrol defending the police, writing the actions of the protesters were an abject failure of how civilized people are expected to behave in society while continually acting like a perpetual victim. And officials have said outside agitators were among the demonstrators. Of the 282 people arrested at Columbia and the City College of New York, the NYPD and mayor's office say nearly half were not affiliated with those schools. By NBC News' count, more than 2,100 arrests have been made nationwide. And as the NYPD moves into NYU, there's a big question right now about who should be paying for all of this, both the law enforcement response and the cleanup. The New York Mayor Adams has said that he believes Columbia University and other private institutions should be paying for at least some of this. Here at UCLA, a public university, there are estimates that the cost of the law enforcement response alone over the past 2 days could be in the multi-millions. Back to you.
All right, Liz, thank you so much. President Biden made his first public comments about those campus protests. After days of silence on the issue, the president condemned violent behavior while defending the right to protest peacefully. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander joins us with more on that. Peter, good morning.
Joe, good to see you. These are, as you noted, the first substantive comments from the president since the scenes of these confrontations on campuses exploded. The president defending students' right to protest, but really condemning the violence, trying to draw this clear line between dissent and disorder.
With the chaos on campuses dominating the political debate, President Biden is now trying to diffuse the ongoing violence.
Destroying property is not a peaceful protest. It's a matter of what's right. There's the right to protest, but not the right to cause chaos.
The president responding to growing political pressure, walking a fine line between the right to free speech and his desire for law and order.
People have the right to get an education, the right to get a degree, the right to walk across the campus safely without fear of being attacked.
Later saying he will not call in the National Guard and rejecting protesters' demands for changes to his Middle East policy.
Have the protests forced you to reconsider any of the policies with regard to the region?
No.
Among Democrats' concerns, fears of eroding support from younger voters who would be key to the president's re-election this fall. The College Democrats of America, the official collegiate branch of the DNC, warning their votes are not to be taken for granted by the Democratic Party, adding, "We reserve the right to criticize our party when it fails to listen to us." A day after praising the NYPD for its crackdown at Columbia University, former President Trump accused President Biden of being absent on the issue. Other Republicans have also attacked the president for not responding sooner.
What we really need, though, is moral clarity and leadership on campus and out of the White House. We have laws on the books that just need to be enforced.
In denouncing the violence, President Biden said anti-Semitism has no place in America and is set to deliver a speech on that topic during a Holocaust memorial ceremony next week.
And multiple people familiar with the president's decision tell NBC News that after those days of silence, President Biden's choice to speak really is an acknowledgement that it was simply unavoidable to stay quiet for much longer. The bottom line here, Joe, is that the White House strongly believes ending the war in Gaza is the best solution to the challenges at home, aggressively pushing for that ceasefire, including the release of the hostages, among them Americans. But, of course, it's still unclear how soon that'll happen, Joe.
All right, Peter, thank you.
And while those protests continue here at home, ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Hamas are continuing. Hamas leaders say they're sending delegates back to Cairo to discuss the latest Israeli proposal. The move comes as the U.S. urges both sides to finish this deal as quickly as possible. NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez is in Tel Aviv with the details of these negotiations. Raf, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. For days, Israel, the U.S. and the world have been waiting for Hamas to respond to this latest ceasefire proposal. Israel says it is prepared to delay an attack on the city of Rafah if a hostage deal can be reached. But with every passing day, there are more and more signs that assault is coming.
This morning, as Israeli forces ready for an all-out assault on Rafah, fears that time is running out to reach a ceasefire deal. Despite American opposition to an attack, Prime Minister Netanyahu vowing we'll do whatever is necessary to win and overcome our enemies, including in Rafah. Hamas says an offensive on the city where more than 1 million Palestinian civilians are sheltering would be the end of negotiations. But Hamas has not given a clear answer to the latest ceasefire proposal, saying instead they'll send a team to Egypt as soon as possible to complete the ongoing discussions.
It's Hamas that is the only barrier to a ceasefire right now, an immediate ceasefire, and we are waiting their response.
Under intense U.S. pressure, Israel is allowing more aid into Gaza by land, while the U.S. military is working on a temporary pier to get food in by sea. The White House says it'll be operational in days. Overnight, the defense secretary saying there's no indication Hamas plans to attack U.S. forces.
Having said that, Phil, this is a combat zone, and a number of things can happen, a number of things will happen.
While a new UN report finds it could take 80 years to rebuild Gaza after 8 months of Israeli bombing. In Rafah, Aya Abu Saif and her sons are looking for water. It isn't clean, and it makes the kids sick, but it's all they have. Her husband Tawfiq was once the breadwinner, but lost his leg to an Israeli attack in February. I'm 25 years old, but I feel 85, she says. I swear, this war has taught us a lot. Bitter lessons no child should have to learn.
Now, one of the key sticking points in these negotiations is whether this is a deal for a temporary pause in the fighting, which is what Israel wants, or a deal to end the war altogether, which is what Hamas wants. And trying to bridge the gap there is one of the major obstacles to an agreement right now. Savannah.
All right, Raf, thank you.
The criminal trial against former President Trump continues here in New York this morning after an eventful day. Thursday saw prosecutors bring forward 4 more statements from Trump that they say violated the judge's gag order. Then a former lawyer for Stormy Daniels took the stand with information crucial to the hush money deal.
Keith Davidson recounted the deal struck to suppress Daniels' claims she had a sexual encounter with Trump. He was her attorney, but Davidson faced cross-examination from the former president's lawyers who attempted to paint him as a multi-million-dollar celebrity extortionist by bringing up other cases he had been involved with.
NBC News correspondent Yasmin Vasukian joins us now from outside the courthouse with the latest. Yasmin, good morning. So let's start with those alleged additional violations of Trump's gag order. Last week, it was pretty clear during the hearing how the judge felt about it. What did the judge have to say yesterday?
It was clear yesterday morning as well, Joe. Good morning to both of you, by the way. So there was 4 potential violations cited by the prosecution here, 2 regarding Michael Cohen, 1 regarding David Pecker, 1 regarding the jury. When it came to Michael Cohen, essentially the former president said on 2 different instances that Michael Cohen was a liar. You couldn't trust any of his testimony if, in fact, he were to take the stand in this trial. When it came to David Pecker, he said he was a nice guy. And then went to jury. He said 95% of the jury is Democrats. At one point, he said that publicly. So while there was a lot of back and forth during the hearing yesterday morning when it came to that gag order, it seemed as if the judge was leaning more towards finding the former president in violation of the gag order when it comes to what he said about the jury. 95% of the jury being Democrats. That is what the former president alleged and said. When it comes to Michael Cohen, he seemed more on the fence about that. And David Pecker, he actually said yesterday morning he was less concerned with what the former president said about David Pecker. I will say that the former president's attorneys tried to argue throughout this gag order hearing that essentially Michael Cohen shouldn't have protections under the gag order because Michael Cohen seems to be baiting the former president. And every time he does, the former president should have the right to defend himself. Whether or not that's going to come to fruition is really the question, because either way, the gag order is far sweeping, saying essentially the former president cannot attack anybody on the jury or the jury as a body and or any witnesses or potential witnesses that may in fact take the stand. Timing-wise, when we're going to get a decision on this, last time it took about 7 days, so we're expecting the same time period for this. It could be any day and or a week from yesterday, guys.
Yasmin, let's turn to the testimony of Keith Davidson. So as we mentioned, this is the man who represented the two women at the center of the trial, Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal. The testimony included a memorable exchange on 2016 election night. This is after the Trump victory. Tell us the big takeaways there.
It was a huge moment, guys, and a major takeaway. I know Andrew Weissman, who appears a lot on MSNBC, he was outside with me yesterday, and we talked a lot about this off camera. And he was inside the courtroom yesterday as well. But it was this really big moment in which there was an acknowledgement of kind of what they did. And I'll walk you through it quickly. So Keith Davidson essentially messages Dylan Howard, the head of the National Enquirer, and says, what have we done? And acknowledging and recognizing the former president had, in fact, won the election on the night of 2016, in November of 2016. Yes. And Dylan Howard writes back, my God. And so essentially it was an acknowledgement that they felt as if they were working at the direction of working for the president. What I mean by that is Keith Davidson in his testimony had talked about how he felt as if Michael Cohen was working at the direction of Donald Trump, right? That is the crux of the case, right? Was Michael Cohen acting on his own volition, and or was he working at the direction of the former president? And did the former president subsequently falsify his business records when paying off Michael Cohen after Michael Cohen paid Stormy Daniels and also Karen McDougal, right? This acknowledgement, this exchange on election night was really telling of what was happening during that time period. Also, the time period, the timeline, I should say, of the email exchanges beginning with October 26th, guys, 14 days before the election in November, leading up to election night as well, is when all of this started, all the exchanges about whether or not they're going to pay off Stormy Daniels. And that was also just 2 weeks after the release of the Access Hollywood tape back in October of 2016.
A lot happening yesterday. Yasmin, real quick, what can we expect when court resumes today?
So we are in cross-examination of an expert witness called by the DA who's kind of digging into all the tech stuff, right? So much of the evidence here is about messages. It's about emails. It's about text messages. It's about phone calls. The prosecution wants to be able to verify for the jury how it is they were able to obtain so much of this information, right? So much of these text messages, of these emails, and of these phone calls. We're going to continue with that cross-examination. There will likely be a recross from the prosecution after that. And then the next witness will be called to the stand. Again, we have no knowledge of who the next witness will be. We have a long list of individuals who we expect to be witnesses on the stand throughout this 4 to 6 week period in which we're going to be watching this trial. But who it is, as of this moment, we don't know.
All right, Yasmin, thank you so much.
Let's turn now to the extreme weather that's expected to impact millions in parts of the central and southern plains. It comes as several tornadoes were reported in Texas, causing significant damage to several homes. Meanwhile, thousands in Houston are waking up without power after mandatory evacuations were ordered there due to heavy rain and flooding. NBC News correspondent Kathy Park joins us now from Harris County, Texas with the latest. Kathy, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. That's right. Creeks and rivers here in Harris County are so swollen right now. The water is overflowing and actually flooding out these businesses and homes. Rain is back in the forecast, as you can see, so all eyes are on the San Jacinto River right now, which continues to rise. And last night, officials told residents here to evacuate or be prepared to be stuck for days.
This morning, up to 1 million people impacted by severe storms, dumping heavy rain and causing catastrophic flooding across Texas. And dramatic tornadoes touching down, too.
Big tornado.
The intense storms bringing destructive flooding, wind, and torrential rain battering the area. Cars stranded on washed-out roads.
Help!
In Livingston, Jonathan Brown yelling to his neighbors for help, desperate to get out. Brown says his pregnant girlfriend and his 5-year-old stepdaughter had to swim their way to safety with only the clothes on their back.
It's very stressful being that we're 5 weeks away from having a newborn. I mean, we're glad we made it out. Materialistic stuff is always replaceable, but our life isn't.
Harris County declaring a disaster and mandatory evacuations ordered near Houston. Along with those heavy rains, reports of up to 10 tornadoes in Texas, Missouri, and Louisiana. 8 of those twisters in Texas alone. Hardest hit, Holly.
Look at that. Yeah. Wow.
Across the South, residents cleaning up and bracing for more.
And back here in Harris County, officials say that the focus right now is response, and once the immediate threat is over, then they will tackle recovery. Flash flood watches remain in effect in the greater Houston area until 7 o'clock tonight.
All right,
Savannah?
Kathy, stay safe. Thank you very much.
So what can we expect this weekend?
Meteorologist Angie Lassman is here to tell us. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Kathy said it. We've got the river flooding and we've got severe storms on the way here as we finish out our work week, potentially into the weekend and definitely into early next week. We'll get to that in a moment, but let's start with what we've already dealt with. Really impressive rainfalls. You saw some of the visuals from Kathy there. Up to a foot of rain in some of these spots. We've got Livingston over 9 inches. We've got Huntsville over 9 inches. So no surprise that all of these rivers across this region are dealing with either moderate or major flooding. We've got 9 rivers right now at major flood stage, and we're expecting 17 rivers at major flood stage by the time we wrap up the weekend. So the river flood warnings likely to stay across this region here for a little while longer. We've also got the flood watches and the flash flood warnings in effect for a couple of spots, specifically parts of Texas and Louisiana. Notice where you see the red right there. Those are the flash flood warnings. 6 million people included in this, with more rain on the way here as we get through the weekend. We've got kind of the repeated rounds of some heavy rain, some strong storms on the table for us today again, and some of those same spots that have been dealing with the back and forth kind of weather where we get a little bit of a break and then an active afternoon. Those are the same spots we're going to watch today too. Garden City, Abilene, Lubbock, and Sonora all included in the slight risk area. What does that mean? Better chance for us to see some of those stronger storms. I think where you see the green, general thunderstorms, maybe a couple of stronger storms with some large hail, an isolated tornado or two can't be ruled out. And the same goes for tomorrow. It's just an even smaller area. So notice Lubbock still included in that for tomorrow. Again, the same threats, mainly going to come in the form of hail, but we can't rule out the potential for some strong winds and a couple of tornadoes as we get through our Saturday. Big picture look for the weekend, really unsettled across much of the eastern half of the country, even the West Coast dealing with the next Pacific storm. That's going to bring some rain and snow to our friends there, even as we get into Sunday, so we'll have to watch for that. Little sunshine to celebrate Cinco de Mayo on Sunday across parts of the Midwest, but that's about it. Stormy conditions across the Gulf Coast. We've got showers around for the Northeast, and something that we'll have to deal with for folks there here as we get through the weekend. Big picture look at temperatures. Boy, is it warm. On the warm side of things for Charlottesville, upper 80s, Pittsburgh into the mid 80s. We're running 10 to 15 degrees above normal in some of these spots. But notice the coast, a little cooler. We've got an east breeze that always keeps us a little more dreary, a little cloudier and cooler for places like Ocean City and New York. You'll notice that as compared to where our temperatures were yesterday. That's going to be something that we deal with. But guys, the temperatures are going to eventually kind of cool down, and we'll all be settled into a more typical pattern by the time the weekend wraps up.
All right. I just realized we have mint juleps on Saturday and then margaritas on Sunday.
The Met coming up?
Wow.
The Met Gala?
What do you drink at the Met? Is that like a martini?
I think.
Oh, yeah.
Very fancy stuff.
Yeah.
You're right.
I don't know. I've never been invited, Anna.
Sean says champagne.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Anna.
Thanks, Andy.
You're welcome.
There's much more to come on this Friday edition. Again, feeling like a Friday of Morning News Now. We are counting down to Derby Day. Later in the hour, we will take you to the iconic Churchill Downs ahead of the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby happening this weekend.
But first, the American tourist who was arrested in Turks and Caicos for bringing ammunition with him will learn today whether he faces jail time. We've got the latest on that next. A Pennsylvania father will learn his fate today in a Turks and Caicos courtroom. American Brian Hegerich pleaded guilty to bringing multiple rounds of ammunition to the Caribbean island, but says he never meant to bring that with him. Now he faces the possibility of years behind bars. NBC's Sam Brock has been following this story, joins us from Miami with the latest. Sam, good morning.
Yeah, Joe, good morning. It is Brian Hegerich who's on trial later today, but there are so many families who have a keen interest in what's going to happen, Joe, because his sentence could shed some light on what happens with several detained Americans, all of whom have very similar stories about accidentally carrying ammunition into the country and now facing a mandatory minimum jail sentence of 12 years behind bars. For months, American Brian Hegerich has waited to find out his fate after the husband and father of two says he accidentally brought 20 rounds of ammunition to Turks and Caicos on vacation. I would never, ever knowingly come to a foreign country with any type of ammunition. But I did recognize that it was ammunition that I had used for deer hunting back in Pennsylvania. That mistake could cost Hegerich and his family dearly, as the former professional baseball player hopes the judge will be swayed by circumstance and his character. I've been nothing but cooperative throughout the whole time here. Honesty, integrity, that's me as a father, as a parent. Turks and Caicos has already adjudicated 5 cases of charged Americans for violating a 2-year-old law with a 12-year mandatory minimum jail sentence, finding exceptional circumstances in all 5 cases, imposing fines, and in one, 8 months behind bars. But 4 men are still awaiting judgment, including Ryan Watson, also a dad who's been sharing a room with Hegerich and pondering the weight of today. It's probably the most critical day for all of us that are currently stuck on the island. My fate is likely the fate of others as well.
We had no idea that ammunition was in our bags.
Legal experts say it's possible they could avoid jail time, but it might be tough.
Are they first-time offenders? Was it a small amount of ammunition? Are those things taken into consideration? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, failing to know what is contained in one's luggage is not a justification for violating any foreign law.
Now they're at the mercy of the court, meeting in a matter of hours. And the Turks and Caicos government says there is no constitutional right to carry a firearm on the islands. This is not the United States of America. Weapons and ammunition, Joe, are explicitly forbidden unless there is permission. And yes, the trial does begin today, but it could be a matter of days before we find out Hegerich's fate. Back to you.
All right, Sam, thank you so much.
Well, China is going to the dark side of the moon. The country's space program is launching an ambitious lunar probe that aims to bring back samples from the moon's far side for the first time. NBC News International correspondent Janice Mackey-Frey reports from Hainan, China.
We're roughly 1.5 miles from the launch site, which you can't see because of rain and fog, but you could feel that liftoff. This lunar lander mission expected to last 53 days, and if it's successful, would be a first for any country. Chang'e 6 is headed to the far side of the moon to collect samples of rock and debris from a region never explored before. Those samples, roughly 5 pounds, would be returned to Earth and, according to Chinese space officials, would be accessible to most other countries for research. This marks a major milestone for China's ambitious space program and its goal of putting Chinese astronauts on the moon by 2030. But it's also posing a concern for U.S. officials. The head of U.S. Space Command recently saying that China's program is advancing at, quote, breathtaking speed. He says the worry is geopolitical competition between rival blocs to dominate not only the moon, but the space between it and Earth. So it is a real race that is shaping up for the U.S. and a dozen other partner countries, including Japan and India, who have signed on to the Artemis Accords, an enterprise that does not include China. Beijing says it will land on the lunar South Pole in 2026 and build a lunar base in 2036. Experts say it's going to take innovation, technology, and huge infusions of cash in order to win this race. But for most people here in China, this launch was a national event. There are literally thousands of space tourists who have come here to Hainan Island to witness it. An atmosphere like a festival or a carnival with flags and souvenirs took over at beaches and on rooftops, anywhere that could offer a view of this launch site for people to look to the sky and beyond.
All right, Janice, thank you so much.
Coming up, we'll introduce you to a woman who truly means business.
That's right. After the break, my conversation with the trailblazing new CEO of the popular dating app Bumble. Lidiane Jones joins me next on the app's latest swiping shakeup and her incredible journey to success in tech. That's next. Stay with us. Welcome back. It is time for another installment of our series, Women Mean Business. Today, I am so excited. I am speaking to the CEO of one of the world's biggest dating apps, Bumble. We are going to talk to Lidiane Jones about how she's revamping the platform. Some big news this week. First, here's a little bit of her story.
The daughter of a mechanic and a cleaner, Lidiane Jones grew up in a modest neighborhood in Brazil. A passion for computer programming got her a scholarship to the University of Michigan. It was the start of a 2-decade career in tech, working for Microsoft on products like Excel and Office, before taking up leadership positions at speaker company Sonos and ending up as chief executive at communication platform Slack. Then, when she was being interviewed on our sister network, CNBC, one of the people watching was Whitney Wolfe Herd, CEO of Bumble, the dating app which is famous for requiring women to make the first move. Wolfe Herd tapped Jones to become her successor as CEO and lead the app into a new era. And that era has now begun. Jones this week announcing a major relaunch, making headlines by announcing Bumble was rethinking its best-known rule. Lidiane Jones is a woman who means business.
And Lidiane joins me now here in studio. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Savannah.
Absolutely. Congratulations on the role and congratulations on a big week, which is exactly what I want to start on because this made some news. Tell us about sort of the revamp of this app.
Yeah, it's an amazing week for us, Savannah, because we have been on a mission to really understand what it means to be an empowered woman today. So making the first move has been the signature icon of Bumble.
Absolutely.
And we believe it's still the right thing, but women want more control. So this week it revamped making the first move with opening moves, which means women can choose how they want to make the first move, which has been really exciting to see our customers embrace. It has meant better, healthier conversations that allows women to decide how that initial start of the chat
And what is it? What is opening moves? What does that mean a woman could now pick instead of being the one who has to come up with something to say first?
Yeah, what it means is that women now can decide if they want to ask a question once they decide to make the match. So now the men can answer the question first if the woman decides that's what they want. So the woman is still in control, but they can decide how that chat gets initiated, which has helped a lot more chat conversation in the early testing that we've done.
It's really cool because, as you said, this was something Bumble was known for, so I'm sure it's kind of like a little scary to be messing with that feature, but I have to say in preparation for this conversation, I'm married, so I'm not on Bumble, but I was talking with a lot of my friends, colleagues here who are, and they said this is actually great because sometimes you just don't feel like writing that first message and you don't necessarily want that. The other thing that's been quite eye-catching is your marketing campaign. So, I mean, for a company who, of course, wants to be attracting users, you've done something interesting. If you go and check out Bumble's Instagram right now, you will see lots of women wearing T-shirts that say exhausted. Tell me about making this decision and what your message is with this campaign.
We hear our customers. That's the key message. Our customers are telling, especially women, that they are tired, that dating has become difficult. And we are really embracing listening to our customers and helping women make that journey more fun, more enjoyable, more, what it's supposed to be. You're looking for love. You're supposed to be having a great time. So this is the first step in our journey to making dating fun again and getting women to be in control and not be so exhausted by that that journey. So we're really thrilled to embrace it. The marketing campaign has been incredibly fun. Customers have not only loved it, but given us a ton of really great feedback. And this is what I love about Bombo. Our customers are the best. They love our brand. And they're giving us great insight about what we want to do next in the next few phases of this evolution for us.
It's very cool. You took over from Whitney Wolfe, a huge figure in the tech space, of course, certainly in the dating app space, but also a woman in tech. She had founded this company, been there since the start. It's pretty rare to see one powerful woman hand off to another powerful woman in tech. What was that like, and what's this transition been like with Whitney being such a figure?
Whitney is an icon. You know, when I think about Whitney, I think about the picture of her holding her baby at IPO time.
Yeah.
This is a woman who has breaking ground every step of the way. So it is not, you know, surprising that she's the person who called me to say, you're the person that I trust to take over my baby. And what I love about Whitney is her passion for this mission and the cause. So I feel incredibly honored to have her trust to carry the company forward this next chapter, next 10 years of bringing love and connection for our customers throughout their lives. So it's been an honor, and it's been incredibly fun. She continues to be, you know, an incredible, important voice for how we move forward.
That's amazing. We only have a few seconds left, but in this segment, we always love to ask from women who are in a position of power and success as you are, your advice for a young woman who might be watching right now who's trying to break into business.
First is keep making that first move. Don't be afraid to take the big leaps and trust your instinct. This is the biggest thing. We are on a mission to help women be confident. And I think in business, it's going to be an important next stage of women growing and career. So take that leap, make the first move.
I love it. Lidiane Jones, thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it. And again, congrats on this role.
Thank you so much.
Great to have you here. Yeah, absolutely.
You hear that? Get your big hats, your fascinators, and your mint juleps ready. It is Derby time. Saturday night, just before 7 p.m., millions will be watching the Run for the Roses at Churchill Downs. We have a very special preview this morning of the 150th Kentucky Derby. For more, we're joined by NBC's Dylan Driver and NBC Sports host and play-by-play anchor Mike Tirico. Good morning to both of you. I love it. We got the hat already. It's amazing. Good to have both of you with us. Mike, I want to start with you. You're hosting tomorrow's Kentucky Derby coverage on NBC. It's the 150th anniversary of the race. I believe we call that the sesquicentennial. How are they planning on honoring that milestone?
Well, Dylan's with us on the show again this year. We have a cast of thousands, if you will, to celebrate what really is more than a sporting event. Over the years, you go to sporting events and there's the game. But at the Derby, it's a party and it's an event. And you want to have a great place to throw a party? This has become as good a place as you'll ever find. $200 million spent the last 3 years. The paddock area where the horses are paraded, if you will, before the races, that has been upgraded, changed. You get beautiful people. You get people in the infield who are wet in the mud and all that. It's a little cross-section of America, and it's a treat. It's lasted longer, really, than any other sporting event since 1875. So reason to celebrate coming up this weekend.
And Dylan, hey, it's Savannah. One of the big X factors, of course, for any horse race are these track conditions. Muddy, fast, wet, fast, thrown around, all those terms when it comes to the weather, which, of course, you are a particular expert on. So how are things looking?
Well, you know, every year I think it offers a challenge. You actually ran into somebody who said, you know, just the way the river lies here, like the storms just pop up. So it is, you know, a little microclimate here. So it does make it a tough forecast. Right now, it's just raining. I mean, today is just going to rain.
Lovely.
We might get a break later on this afternoon. Now, tomorrow, here's the thing. I think with temperatures in the low 80s, we are going to get this moment where it's like a beautiful day and the sun is shining and it's great. That's what's going to set up the chance of storms through the afternoon. That'll probably kind of kick in around 4 or 5 o'clock. So then we're watching the radar and kind of tracking each cell to see where it goes. And we've done that several years.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
You know, and sometimes you get that downpour right before the race, and then it's perfectly sunny come race time. So it's something we'll certainly be keeping an eye on.
Wait.
It's about a 40% chance of rain.
So if the sun comes out, it's bad news. So the good news could be the bad news.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes. So warm air rises. No, I won't go into the whole science behind
science lesson.
A comedy routine here too. Tirico and Dreyer. All right. So one of the things, Dylan, they've made bigger and better this year is the prize money, the biggest purse in Kentucky Derby history. What is that doing to the atmosphere?
Yeah, the prize money's big this year.
Big deal. $5 million now, right? So that just means people have to bet more, right? Dylan's already talking about who she's going to bet and what she's going to wager. That's the fun part of it. You know, I think in sports we see the biggest events usually have the biggest purse, and this has risen up to where some of the other big races around the world are. $5 million, $3 million for the winner for their human connections. Probably the horse gets a little bit better hay and better feed if they win, but you would hope so. But that's the great thing about this. There are people stories. You know, we talk about the horses, and they're spectacular and some of the best 3-year-olds in the world. But the people stories are really what makes the Derby special. That's what we love on our 5-hour show, telling a lot of those stories and sharing those with America.
Do it so well.
Dylan, by the way, the look, I mean, just mwah, chef's kiss. Mike, you look great too, but Dylan, just, I love it.
How many headwear choices do you have?
Yeah, did you bring a lot of options, Dylan?
I have 5 hats total. Christine Moore, who does my hats here, I kind of send her pictures of my dresses, and then she builds the hat around my dress. So this is just look one. There's lots more to come.
I love
I have
it.
2 blue suits.
Thanks, Mike. We were wondering.
Thanks, Savannah.
Yeah,
right
thanks
back
so
at
much.
you. I appreciate it. Thanks for caring.
Mike, we do actually have a real question for you. Let's talk horses. Who are the favorites? Who are the dark horses?
Yeah, Fierceness and Sierra Leone are the 2 names that are going to get the most attention. Fierceness was the 2-year-old champion, so that's always a horse you think, well, as a 3-year-old, great chance to win the Derby, and that horse has shown that pedigree and that success so far. And then Sierra Leone, you know, in high school basketball, we talk about 5-star recruits. Those are the ones who can't miss. Sierra Leone was the one who would be in that category, purchased for over $2 million, and hasn't missed. It's been a very good horse. Those are the 2 that are the favorites, but we've seen long shots win. You never know what's going to happen. It's the joy of the Derby in 20 horses.
Mike, we just have 30 seconds here, but just you mentioned hours of buildup, and then it's just 2 minutes. It's unlike anything else in sports. Just for both of you, real quick, what makes this so compelling?
One of my favorite moments of the Derby is that moment right before, as the horses are loading in the gate. Everybody gets to their spot, and the anticipation and the crescendo that builds is one of a kind.
Yeah, that is exciting. And then I like the people watching. You know, I mean, you get to see some really cool outfits, and you get to see just how the day progresses here. You know, there's a lot of mint juleps being had, and it's fun to people watch.
Yeah. I was just about to say, neither of you said the mint julep is your favorite part.
Mike Tirico, Dylan Dreyer.
Yeah.
It's here.
There we are. There they are.
Jealous.
Notice he didn't drink it because it's probably been sitting there.
Actually, it's Dylan's.
3 days.
Yeah.
Over there.
I'll drink it. Thank you.
Mike and Dylan, thank you so much. Great to see you guys. And if you'd like to catch the most exciting 2 minutes in sports, you can tune in for the 150th Kentucky Derby tomorrow on NBC and Peacock. Coverage begins at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Coming up, new numbers on America's job market out this morning.
Yeah, we're breaking down the latest figures and what it all means for America's economy as college grads start looking for work. Next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. Let's get straight to some financial headlines. Sony Pictures is throwing its hat in the ring for a multi-billion-dollar buyout of Paramount Global.
CNBC's Pippa Stevens has that and some other money headlines for us. Pippa, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Sony may be jumping into the ring for Paramount. Reports say Sony Pictures and private equity firm Apollo Global have made a $26 billion offer for the media company and Hollywood studio. Paramount and controlling shareholder Sherry Redstone are already weighing a bid from Skydance Media, the production company run by David Ellison, the son of Oracle founder Larry Ellison. Meantime, Coinbase reporting a huge beat with its first quarter earnings, results being driven by the boom in Bitcoin prices at the start of the year and a renewed interest in cryptocurrencies. That was sparked in part by the approval and launch of exchange-traded funds that track the spot price of Bitcoin. Coinbase benefits because it's the custodian for the assets held by those funds. And Audible is testing book recommendations based on your viewing habits on Prime Video. Audible is owned by Amazon. Now, you could see recommendations as straightforward as the book or movie you watched is based on, or authors that users with similar preferences have enjoyed. Audible says there's a natural synergy between TV, movies, and books, and it's seen that in how its customers engage with content. I like to think my reading is more highbrow than my watching, so I'm not sure about this one.
Pippa, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Good way to put it. All right, we now have some breaking economic data to get to. There are signs the job market is cooling.
Yeah, the U.S. economy added 175,000 jobs in April. That's actually less than expected, words we haven't been uttering lately. The unemployment rate came in at 3.9%.
Here to help us understand what these numbers mean for you and your wallet and the economy, NBC senior business correspondent Christine Romans, who is excited about this one. Good morning.
Well, less is more here. This is really important. We're seeing some of the froth come out of the American labor market. The job market was so strong for so long. We were worried that was going to keep the inflation story front and center. But you've got 175,000 net new jobs added. That's less than the 240,000 anybody expected. Last month, March, was revised up to 313,000. So it's a slowdown from a very, very strong pace earlier this year. This year, you can tell I'm very excited. And you know, I just like the look of this trend. The cooling off here is what's really important. Not too hot, not too cold. This is not recessionary. That is a strong job market, but it's not so strong that it's a problem for the Fed and interest rates.
A little Goldilocks there.
Yeah.
You like to say. Let's break it down by categories. Where are there areas where we're seeing bigger losses or bigger gains?
So healthcare was a big driver here. 56,000 jobs in healthcare, social assistance, transportation and warehousing. That's a part of the economy that suggests still robust demand overall, good business, good economy overall. So that's where we're seeing most of those gains.
And we're 6 months away from the election. What do we think this means as we head towards that and how people are feeling?
I think that experts say, people's opinion about the economy starts to harden about 6 months before an election. So this summer, how people feel this summer is really important. So this is a job market that's still good and still really fueling consumer spending. But when you look at the context here, so on average this year, about 259,000 jobs a month on average. So put that in the back of your head. This is below average this month was. In 2023, that was 248. In 2019, that was 166. Remember in 2019, Donald Trump was president, and he was saying it was the best economy we'd had in our lifetimes. You're looking at even a cool month this month is still stronger than the average from 2019. So this is still a strong job market. Of course, the problem is prices. That's what people really are feeling the pain about. People are more pessimistic about their bills than they are optimistic about the job market and wages. Wages, by the way, at 3.9% annual growth, that's still good. You know, a 3.9% raise is still good. But it's the first one we've seen below 4% for a while, which is also important for the inflation part of the story.
We know inflation is obviously a factor when it comes to the election and how people vote. Job numbers, where does that sort of factor in? Is it only an issue when it's bad?
Maybe, TBD. And it might be, I really have this untested theory post-COVID that people tend to be more pessimistic than optimistic. COVID really kind of changed our perspective here in the near term. You see it in these consumer sentiment numbers all the time. You know, we have strong top line economic numbers, but people still say they feel pretty pessimistic. So we'll see. A lot can happen in a few months.
And a lot to watch for. And a lot will be happening for between now and November. Christine, thank you so much.
In a good mood on this Friday.
It really is.
It is Friday, which means we've got your can't miss list on deck. It is your weekly rundown of the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment.
Can you tell we're excited for the weekend? We've said it's Friday like 15 times. After the break, Ryan Gosling's rugged new romp as a battle-scarred stuntman, plus a brand new album from the one and only Dua Lipa ahead of her double-duty date with SNL tomorrow night. Stick around, that's up next.
Finally this hour, time for your weekly can't miss list. Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling, you might have heard, are teaming up for a stunt-filled action movie. And one of the best-loved comedy shows of recent years is back.
Yes, we're really excited about that one. Here to help us talk through it all is TV personality and journalist Baker Machado, also a fellow buff.
Yes,
Good morning.
Indeed.
Great to have you with us.
Happy Friday, guys.
So excited to have you here. Okay, let's talk about The Fall Guy. There's been a lot of promotion for this one. Tell us what we should know.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Ryan Gosling, guys, this is the big movie out today. He stars as a stuntman. Now, this is an interesting sort of storyline. He had been in the industry for a long time. He decides, oh, I'm going to take a break for my mental health. And then all of a sudden, the lead actor that he was the stuntman for goes missing. So now he's thrust right back into the movie that he had been basically working on. Oh, by the way, his ex is directing that, played by Emily Blunt in this. Now, the reviews on this have been really good. It has an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I don't know if you guys saw at the premiere this week, he dressed up as Beavis, the famous sketch that that he did on SNL just recently. Funny enough, he did not break character when he was on the carpet like he did when he was on SNL. But either way, this is going to be the best movie to see so far in the theaters this weekend.
I feel like this is going to give the box office a boost
Yeah.
this weekend.
I hope so.
I want to see it.
All right, and Anne Hathaway has a rom-com. It's called The Idea of You. It's streaming on Prime. What should we know about
Yeah,
this?
so if you're looking for more of a little romantic thing this weekend, this is an interesting story. Anne Hathaway stars as a divorced single mother, guys, who has a whirlwind romance when she goes to Coachella and falls in love with the lead singer of a boy band played by Nicholas Gillitzine. They basically went on the Today Show just the other day, and they talked about how they were able to create chemistry with one another. They locked themselves in a room and serenaded each other with music and dance, and that's how they created the chemistry for this romantic film
so
here.
awkward to me.
I know.
Did they say what they sang?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. They didn't say what they sang, but I'm assuming, this is the best way to create chemistry with each other. Reviews so far on this pretty good, about 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, and this premiered at South by Southwest to pretty good reviews so far. Okay. And you can watch this, by the way, on Prime.
There you go.
Lock yourself in a room with
Yes,
the person you love.
serenade your significant
First
other
stare
while
into each
watching
other's
this.
eyes and then watch. Okay, on Netflix, Jerry Seinfeld and this hilarious Pop-Tart thing, Unfrosted.
Oh. But he, by the way, I was just walking through the hallway. All the cast were just on Morning Joe just a few moments ago as this was happening. So yeah, Jerry Seinfeld making his directorial debut here, guys. All about the famous 1960s race to create the Pop-Tart in the 1960s. This is a true story, by the way. I didn't even know this was real. And the cast list in this is insane. Jerry Seinfeld, Melissa McCarthy, Jim Gaffigan, Hugh Grant, Amy Schumer, Peter Dinklage, Dan Levy, James Marsden. And that's just a few of the names. It's incredible. This is definitely on the top of my list. You can watch it right now on Netflix.
When Jerry Seinfeld calls and says, hey, you want to be in my movie, a lot of people will respond.
Do you want to be in my movie about Pop-Tarts?
Right? Exactly.
Do you want to be
okay, all right.
Gretchen Wieners is loving this one.
We're gonna take a huge turn right now.
Okay.
All right, we're doing something serious. It's on Peacock. We actually were talking about it on the show a couple of weeks ago, The Tattooist of Auschwitz.
Yeah, this one definitely going to tug at your heartstrings. This is about a true story, guys. A big New York Times bestseller book. This done in partnership with Sky over in the UK. It's played by Harvey Keitel. You see him right there. And it's about the true story of two people who fell in love while they were in Auschwitz. All the episodes right now are on Peacock, and this is definitely going to be something that is very emotional, but really incredible so far based on the reviews.
Even just the trailer is emotional.
I know, so much.
It's tough to watch, absolutely, but it looks incredible. Okay, also, Hacks finally back.
Oh,
and
gosh.
we had a cliffhanger at the end of season 2.
Yes, so this, by the way, has been off the air for a long time because of the dual strikes that we had in Hollywood, and then also Jean Smart had heart surgery recently. So this has been a while since we've seen Hacks. The first few episodes are up right now on Max, and as we mentioned, return of Jean Smart, Hannah Einbinder, and this is basically taking place a year after that cliffhanger episode that you mentioned, and it's focusing on both of these women and the success of their careers and how they're handling it. The guest list in this one, amazing also. J. Smith Cameron from Succession's in this, Christina Hendricks, Tony Goldwyn, Helen Hunt, and just yesterday it had a perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes. I checked again this morning. It's now down to 96%.
Who ruined it?
I know,
Who
but
ruined
still
it?
so good. Everybody loves this show.
It's so true.
All right, we have like 20 seconds here. Dua Lipa's got it.
Oh, yeah. Listen to it all morning. Really, really good. It has the same songs we've heard the last little while. This is called Radical Optimism, the new song, or the new album. Comes 4 years after her last one. Houdini's on this. Training Session's good. But the thing I should let everybody know, it's a lot different than her other album. It's a little bit more chill pop, not
dancey?
as dancey.
Okay.
She has said that she's evolving as an artist, and so this is a little bit different for you guys.
Wow, chill pop. I like it. Baker, great to have you here.
Yes,
thanks for
guys.
coming in. Happy Friday. Happy
joining us.
watching.
That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Don't go anywhere, though. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.